Today we're comparing the new Galaxy Tab A11 and the previous Tab A9 to see what the differences are, and if you're wondering whether the new Tab A11 is worth the upgrade, I think it's going to be pretty clear after this video. Now just keep in mind, the Tab A11 may not be available in all markets yet, but it starts at just under $200, where obviously the older Tab A9 you can get for quite a bit cheaper since it's been out for a couple years now. Surprisingly, the A11 still starts at 4 gigabytes of RAM, which is kind of crazy for 2025, but there's also an 8 gigabyte version as well, similar to the previous A9. You've also got the option of 64 or 128 gigabytes of storage for both tablets as well. You can also use a micro SD card to expand the storage up to 2 terabytes now on the A11 versus 1 terabyte on the A9. As far as the screen sizes and screen quality, they both have an 8.7-inch TFT LCD display at 1340 by 800 resolution. You do have 90 Hz refresh rate on the A11 versus 60 on the A9. So things are going to be a tad smoother on the A11. I'm just not sure if most people are going to notice that big of a difference. Personally, I think the screen quality could be a little bit better. I don't know if they tried 1080p resolution and the performance wasn't good enough. Maybe that's why they're sticking with these specs. Not really sure. When putting these next to each other, they seem to be the same brightness and they've got the same viewing angles. I think the screens are going to be so close. There's really not a huge advantage for one over the other. You will notice they're on the side, kind of a small difference, but they did switch the volume and power buttons. So the power button is on the bottom, probably to match the Samsung phones when you hold it in portrait mode. Interesting thing about the batteries, they're both 5100 milliamp hours. Kind of a surprise to me, but the Galaxy Tab A11 lasted about 1 hour longer, and my typical battery drain test had 100% screen brightness, even though their specs are identical as far as battery size and screens, other than the 90 Hz refresh rate on the A11. Kind of sad to see it's still only 15 watt charging for the new A11 as well. You would think they would have increased that, but I guess it's cheaper to do it that way. One of the biggest updates I think between these two is definitely going to be the software updates. Now you're going to get 7 years of software updates on the Galaxy Tab A11, which I don't think anyone else is doing with their entry-level tablets. In fact, some companies aren't even doing that many years with their flagship tablets. But you're going to get a lot of the same features. They're both on Android 16, One UI 8.0 as of this video. Then you have your typical stuff like the Edge panel over on the side and the taskbar down at the bottom. You've got Google Discover or Samsung Free left of the home screen. The software is going to be very similar to most other Samsung devices. As far as performance goes, these two actually have the same exact processor. Even though they're 2 years apart, the MediaTek Helio G99, I assume this is another cost-cutting decision. Not a huge surprise, performance and gaming is going to be almost identical between these two. They're not going to be the most powerful tablets out there, but surprisingly will do some light gaming, halfway decent at lower frame rates and lower graphics settings. Nice thing is, these are actually some of the most comfortable tablets to game on, in my opinion. It's pretty easy to reach things on the screen. I've always thought 8 to 9 inch tablets are just more comfortable to game on. To me, the speakers seem almost identical between these two. You've got one speaker on each side with Dolby Atmos, and here's a quick sample just to give you an idea of how they sound. As far as cameras go, there was a slight increase on the camera quality for the new Tab A11 with a 5 megapixel there on the front versus 2 megapixels on the A9. Then you've got an 8 megapixel camera on the back of both. Again, not going to be the best as far as cameras go. You'll probably want to use your cell phone in most cases, but here's a few quick samples just to give you an idea of how they compare. So I think even though it feels like more of the same thing from Samsung on the new Tab A11, there are a few small updates here and there. I think probably the biggest reason most people might upgrade from the A9 to the A11 is going to be the 7 years of software updates, which again, I don't think anyone is doing with their entry-level tablets right now. I know I have a lot more tablet comparisons that I'm working on, plus other stuff as well, so you'll want to keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from Fishbee Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.